Okay, so to start this story off, you have to understand something about comics. Most of you know who Supergirl is.
Yeah.
Have either of you heard of Power Girl?
Yes. Think so? Yes.
Do you remember the difference between how Power Girl looks and dresses compared to Supergirl?
Yes.
I mean, we're talking windows and costumes to show cleavage in
Yes.
various much glory. The thing you may not realize about Power Girl and Supergirl is they are in fact the same person. Power Girl is Kara Zor-El from a different reality, but they are the same biological person. It's only Power Girl is older than Supergirl. So she is a more mature character. And I, I there's discussion that goes online all the time going, just how does that transition go between Supergirl and Power Girl? Because Supergirl is not that well endowed, but Power Girl is exceptionally well endowed. And I saw a piece of fan art that I thought was hilarious of Supergirl getting the top part of her costume going, did this thing shrink or is my boobs growing bigger? And I thought, okay, that pretty much says the difference between Power Girl and Supergirl right there.
Just tighter costume? Because that totally would be a thing. But
I don't know.
anyway.
I don't know what the hell. I'm just lost. Hello, patrons. How the hell are you people?
Boy, they're already commenting. I must have really got them going. I'm going to have to back up and see what they were saying.
I know.
We talked about stuff with, Antoine pointed out Power Girl is Supergirl from another universe.
Mm-hmm.
Some people know. When you know, you know.
There's something new I learned today, and I am a better person for it.
I'm not sure that you're better for it, but you at least know it now.
Why are we here, robots? I don't know.
We're here to discuss bags of holding. Okay, no, we're not. No, we're not. We're not really here to discuss bags of holding.
Okay, we're not.
Sanders says, I mentioned at the end of the last show, I saw a Railroad web series with 4 chapters with an ISBN number.
All right.
Interesting.
That might be a little much.
Yeah.
What's the point of that, especially for an author with no personal side or completed work? Seems a bit excessive. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for planning for success and putting things in place, but that may be a little cart before the horse.
That's one way of saying it. Another way of saying is delusional. You wasted a perfectly good ISBN on a 4-chapter ebook. What the hell? What do you do?
I think if you want to be successful at anything, you have to have a certain dose of delusion.
You might be right.
I may be crazy.
It could be delusional. Stop that.
Maybe.
Tim says, I'm curious, is the point of buying ISBNs when D2D and Amazon give those away? I bought 100 of them about 10, 12, 13 years ago when I was dealing with Lightning Source. And I actually used my own for all my work, except for audiobooks on Fireside, because they do all that. Mm-hmm. It makes you look a little bit more insane to have your own ISBNs. I don't think there's necessarily a reason other than to make sure that you have your name on it and it's not, Amazon's ISBN, which is not really a problem. But if you have your own ISBNs, you should use them. And if you buy them, you should buy them in bulk as much as you can because they'll stick around for forever. I am proof of that. Mm-hmm. I still have 80 something.
Jeez. Better get right into use them.
I'm going to use, let's see, and you shut up. Let's see. Evolution is going to be 2. Oceania will be 2. And Extinction will be 2. Neptune Scars will be 2. So that's 8 right there. And that's if I don't do the audiobooks. If I do the audiobooks, I'll need 3 for each. Yeah, if you're planning to go wide, that's the other reason why you
Mhm.
need your own ISBN. I forgot about that. Yeah, you can't use Amazon's ISBN to go wide.
Yeah. And
What-
congrats on the newsletter launch, Antoine. I am so behind in emails. I mean, it's. I'm sure others have experienced this, but when you have a lot of stuff going on, and even if there are a lot of good things, sometimes you just don't want to open your email and respond to stuff because you're like, oh shit, oh there's a lot, oh I have to manage all this, and it's that whole you just kind of shut down. It's like, oh I've got it, the pile keeps getting higher and higher. It's like I've got to clear it out and I can't. No.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah, kind of sucks.
So
It
there should be a
does.
story somewhere written as a personal assistant to a supervillain.
I think there has to be one already.
I would think so.
There has to be.
Can you imagine the
says-
strange scheduling things they're going to have to put in there? Laser Ray needs updating because because boss wants to kill superhero on Thursday.
I mean, so I remember, again, years ago, Christopher Morse had it was called Supervillain Corner. And it was a podcast it was from highlighting various supervillains. And I wound up listening and I was tickled. I actually wrote a little vignette. And before I wrote it, I said, if you ever take, guest submissions, let me know. I'd love to submit something. And I got back what do you have? And so I just put it together. And fun fact, that was a character I had in City of Heroes that I went and filed off the serial numbers for and went, yeah, sure. I had a Daddy's Little Princess supervillain named Spoiled Rotten. She had henchmen. Her goal in life was to seek revenge on her myriad ex-boyfriends.
Wasn't that Ned Beatty to Lex Luthor and Superman?
But I can't think of something I've seen recently that deals with that, that personal assistant to supervillains. So that could be a really cool project, or just like, a diary sort of thing, first person, Friday, October 7th.
Wow.
It's getting harder to hide the bodies. And I can't figure out how to get the blood out of the boss's lobby carpet.
See, it can not only necessarily be next to a single supervillain, it could be like the shared personal assistant for the Legion of Doom.
If you haven't seen the fucking Venture Brothers, you need to watch the fucking Venture Brothers. My God.
It's like I hear this buzzing. He keeps saying this.
I think you would really love it, but they have the League of whatever it is, and they are absolutely ridiculously, hopelessly clueless. It's wonderful.
Actually, there's another series that I've been binging because I am years late to certain things. I know I told during our pre-show thing, I had told Paul and Terry about the Has-Been Hotel, which is on Amazon Prime, and which I consumed in a day and a half because animation and voice work and musical theater.
League of Calamitous Intent. Thank you, Tim.
Oh, okay. But the creator has another series. It's only on YouTube, and it's called Hell of a Boss. And it's about these imps who essentially they are hitmen for hire, and they get hired by dead souls to go into the land of the living and off people. So
I was wronged, and I want to pay somebody to make it right.
Well, I was wronged, and I want to make sure that they suffer even though I'm already dead. Sure, we've got an axe for that.
Tim says, I love the idea of Smithers' journal. Smithers from The Simpsons.
Smithers!
Yeah, I definitely recommend Has-Been Hotel for the the storytelling and the character stuff and the voice work alone. They have a bunch of Broadway actors and actresses who've lent their voices to it. And it's neatly done. So one of the main voice actors is actually, what's his name? Alex Brightman, who originated the role of Beetlejuice on Broadway. He has a really, really unique voice in that it's that growl that you do with your vocal folds, and you really get it's almost like a vocal fry, but he's able to do it and not damage his vocal cords. And he can sing in that tone. But he plays, it's amazing. But yeah, he plays a couple characters in that series. One of them being Adam, who's an angel and a real dick. So I just,
Imagine, if you will, Princess Kelsey's personal assistant.
That poor person. But wait, is this pre-Space Marine or post-Space Marine? Because I feel...
Post-Space Marine, because I could see her coming out of the firing range and dumping a plasma gun into this poor person's arms going, this seems like it's out of tune. Go ahead and take care of that for me. And we'll stomp off and like, is this unloaded? Can somebody tell me if this is unloaded?
Yeah, I can see that happening. I can see that happening to a lot of characters. You never really think about it. I guess that's what I watched the show, but I guess that's what the allure of Lower Decks is, that they're just the red shirts running around doing their own bullshit while all this serious crap is going on the upper levels.
Yeah, taking care of the mundane things, the day in and day out. Yeah, Lower Decks.
Got to clean the crapper.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Vulcan or Romulans are firing on the ship and shit's moving around and he's trying to clean up the septic tank. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's what you want.
Well, because that's something that you have two sides of it. You have people who deal with everyday stuff. Mm-hmm. Will fantasize about like the upper tiers and what they do. And then you have people who just want to relate to all of the mundane, the drudgery. And how do you manage that when you're familiar with a universe where you only know what the upper tier is doing? Oh, side bit, because this is going to be a weird segue, but it's still really cool. Only because of Star Trek. So the Audie Awards were last Thursday. And I knew people who had been nominated, so I watched the whole thing. And Nia Vardalos, who, from like My Big Fat Greek Wedding, she hosted, and she was an amazing host. Well, one of the books that was up for an award was Sir Patrick Stewart's biography. It actually won. He was there. So he was probably the biggest name to actually show up with like having the finalists and like accept the award. And he was in a balcony and you saw people looking around, and when they realized that he was there, just the collective nerdgasm of all those gathered, it was amazing. So if we didn't have to love Sir Patrick Stewart even more, there's another reason, because damn. Anyway, sorry.
It's all Julius's fault.
He turned right as you said that. It was like,
of course.
It might be, and I don't care. What are you going to do?
He knows. He knows.
He
knows.
I'm abandoned. None of my HR crew is here.
Mine is currently boneless. Draped over my Mac Mini.
My social media manager is sleeping on the back of the couch.
I just cannot get that out of my head. Is this unloaded? Please, somebody tell me this is unloaded. I can't get that out of my head now.
I bet her personal assistant and the undergrad assistant at Carl Owlett's lab have the best stories.
Undoubtedly.
Yeah.
Julius is the supervillain petting the human Terry. Yep, I'll buy it.
No, I want the story. I want to hear the story of some really whacked out experiment that Carl is doing. Just something that is completely useless for science, and they're just geeking over here doing something horrifically dangerous and terrible, and it revolves around coffee, and that's it.
See, we're gonna plasma steam the beans. You're gonna what?
Yeah, that would be about the kind of thing.
Why would you do that? Let's see how it tastes. It's gonna vaporize you, moron.
I've calculated there's less than a 4% chance that we'll destroy the lab.
Could you make that lower? No.
What number would you prefer? 0. I'd like 0.
All that I'm saying is that if you fire this at this exact point on the French press, then you're gonna get the water to the exact right temperature, so you won't have to boil it. It's that simple.
The secret to the best coffee is antimatter.
Oh my God, it's pathetic. It's truly pathetic. What have you people done to yourselves? You've stooped this low.
Coffee, we can let the coffee steep.
The plasma laser clock button, you press it and it burns the time in the middle of space.
We're inverting space-time to create the best coffee you've ever had.
Where's my dark matter cafe? There we go. See, if I was going to create a coffee...
See, I can see somebody looking in through the side of the thing. Are there supposed to be tentacles in there? Turn it off! Turn it off! Turn it off!
I need a cup. I actually need a cup, one of those cups where you pour it in there when it's hot. The black shows up on the side, and then as you drink, the black slowly crawls back into the glass.
Licensing!
Licensing!
If you could figure out how to make that and sell it direct from your site.
Well, you see there's these mugs you can get. You can write stuff with a pen on it on the side. When it heats up, it actually shows the stuff on the side. My wife has some of those.
Yeah,
where you can write your own stuff. So the material is already there to go ahead and easily make it if you were artistically inclined.
I'm not, but I have people. I have people for that. Where's my space Six Flags with gravity well wave pools? Wave pools are fucking dangerous already. You really want gravity well?
They're very. Yeah, one of my sisters was a lifeguard at Disney and was a lifeguard trainer, and she unfortunately had to pull more than a few people who got pulled under or got knocked over and did not come up. So yeah.
Speaking of strange things along those lines, I had a revelation a couple of nights ago about a plot point in the new series that I wanted to do. I needed a way to explain how everybody ends up in the same location of space whenever a nova goes off and dumps everybody out there. Because it doesn't make any sense otherwise. It's just random. And I said, it could have something to do with the layers of the hyperspace sea that I'm envisioning. We talked earlier about having the lowlands of the ocean, which is slow and costs little energy for you to move. And then you've got the higher areas that the higher you go, the more energy it costs, but the faster you can go. And I said, well, with a nova dumping all this energy in there, it could lift you up to an area that no one has ever seen before in hyperspace. And suddenly, whereas before it was random, now it's organized in a way that just screams, this is artificial. And people are being shunted down like the highway, the superhighway, rather than an ocean. And then they're like, something just went by us. What was that thing? Bring up the video. Does that look like... That's an artificial structure. What?
So you're saying someone is purposely constructing hyperspace off-ramps?
No, actually, it was somebody in ancient times constructed a hyperspace speedway. But it's been dead for a very long time. Yet hyperspace exists, but the infrastructure is still there, and if enough energy is dumped into any one segment of it, it comes back to life and takes them back to the home world.
This cracks me up. Because I just keep thinking of those areas in Oklahoma and Kansas where they have ramps going to interstates that don't exist.
That would be fun to find out when you get to the top.
Yeah, they've got them blocked off and everything, but there were several of them where they had started construction and just stopped because they ran out of money, and they're still there, at least they were 10 years ago.
Yeah. See, every time you explain the hyperspace sea and channels, it always brings me back to the movie Finding Nemo and the East Australian Current that all the turtles go on. Paul's like, why are you discussing Disney and turtles?
You can discuss Disney and turtles. I'm just going to sit here and look blankly. Okay.
But it's just that whole bit of where it's the fastest way to get to, in their case, to get to Sydney. But because they find a point and they can jump in. And then once they get into that channel, then they're just kind of, ooh.
One of the key aspects that I needed to explain in this is travel takes time to go between stars. And at the slowest rate, you're talking days to weeks to get from one star to another. And yet I had to come up with a way for them to get from one side of our galaxy to the other side in a matter of the same period of time, days or weeks. And when Cheney told me that I couldn't use the metaphor of like a river because it was too close to something else they were already using, I didn't know how I was going to bring the hyperspace sea into it. I've already decided that the hyperspace, there's not going to be any kind of sensors or anything you can use to see a great distance. It's what your Mark I eyeballs or a camera can see. That's it. Visual is all you get. I'm going to try to make it as much like sailing ships as I can. In fact, I've come up with the idea of something that I call a gigafreighter, which it's a giant freighter, but the top half of it looks like the ship from the black hole. And it's actually a luxury cruise liner on one side and a freighter on the bottom side. So you can move people and cargo at the same time. I wonder what could be hidden deep, deep, deep in the cargo containers.
It's the black.
It could be the black.
Not unless it's unlicensed sour. Whirlpools, but hypersea.
I haven't decided. I guess there's going to be something like whirlpools, but I think I need to somehow twist that into my understanding of what I'm going to do there and what happens with them. And I don't know that I've figured that out yet. And this is good because it leaves me blank areas that the characters can draw into because I don't know what it is. Well, you say hyperspace oil rigs, there's going to be hyperspace mining because that's the only place you can acquire that specific metal that we talked about that I have now, for the second time, forgotten the name of.
Thalassium.
Did you say thalassium?
Thalassium. Thalassium. Thalassium.
Yeah, I'll have to eventually write that down somewhere where I'll remember it when I.
Yeah, instead of asking us to be your collective memory.
But
just don't name 3 people Jacob and you'll be fine.
Okay. One of the things I think I'm going to do is I keep toying with this idea is I need to conceal the identity of the builders. And hyperspace is a way that I can do that because I can say that if it's exposed to biologic matter goes away. It cannot stand being exposed to hyperspace and literally comes apart. So your spacesuit better be real good.
If you go outside, yeah. I would think so.
But that means they could recover some type of ancient wreck, but not have any clue what type of species used it, other than what's in the wreck itself. No DNA, no bodies, no mummified corpses, all of that's gone.
Biological matter's sapped. Like a neutron bomb.
I've also modified how I think this character is going to start out. I'd originally come up with the idea that he was going to be a former duelist, and I'm going to stick with that. But I've decided to introduce a permanent secondary character right from the beginning that's also a member of the Cosmetologist Guild, the Assassins.
The Cosmetologists Guild.
That's the. Did I say that right? It's the one that's skin and fingernails.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
I intended that.
it's like if you go to cosmetology school, then you can. It's for hair and nails and skin and hair removal and massages and.
Mhm.
Now I'm just thinking death by waxing, and
You know, I could come up with death by waxing. Now, one of the things that I had decided in this, I had already decided that I was going to have him run into someone in the first opening sequence of the series and them get bound together. And then I said, no, I think I need to take that further back. They need to already be a unit. And the way I do this is the duelists have a deal with the Cosmologists Guild that if someone crosses them, they hire the assassins to take care of the problem rather than doing it themselves. And if the cosmetologists need any formal assistance with people that are of power, then the Duelist Guild will intercede in their behalf. So tying them together into an alliance. And when the master of the dueling guild a master of the dueling guild kills the main character's master, he also arranges for his elimination and the elimination of the cosmetologist working with the character. So they both have to go on the run together.
okay.
And now it's been years. It's been years since that, and they are now a well-honed and well-oiled team working together. So that's interesting.
I like that.
So you're going to go first person with the cosmetologist too, or is that going to be still third person for them?
It's still going to be all from the point of view of the main character. She will be a secondary character. I may in fact have them be married. I've considered going that far, but yeah, I'm going to continue with that theme. If there's any point of view from her, it's going to be third person.
Okay, fair enough.
In future books, you could wind up, if you needed to alternate depending upon who's doing what, you could have your duelist be first person, and then a couple books down the road you could switch if for whatever reason you need to, and have her be first person, and then the rest depending upon what plot lines and character development you're investigating.
Yeah, and there could be an entire spin-off novel from her point of view. Who knows? Oh, come here, big fat boy. Oh.
Beauty kills.
So does Leo.
Oh no, the groans.
The stylist is here. The stylist with claws.
What do you think, chat? You went quiet. As far as you're listening to Terry pontificate.
I put them all to sleep.
It's brainstorming.
It's stain boring. You know what? Never mind. Yeah, exactly. What? Terry, yeah, sounds like he's off to a good start.
God, I am so ready to start writing that series.
I've got a problem.
I'm going to have to make reference to gold-pressed latinium in there somewhere.
I got a problem maybe y'all can help me with.
Okay.
I've got a substance that gets discovered in a mine, but the substance is somehow also moved to other mine shafts. To have been moved or to somehow move.
It has to move to other shafts?
On its own.
Preferably.
On its
It could hitch a ride.
You have to explain. What?
It could hitch a ride.
It's a substance that has its own motivation, is what I'm asking. It is declaring itself to move.
It's a substance that is made up of nanites.
So it does make the choice to move. Okay.
Yes.
Can it hitch a ride on your mining equipment?
Yeah.
Or is that too easy?
That's part of what it does, is it hitches a ride on some equipment, but I think it's also hitching a ride on suits.
On what?
Suits.
Okay.
And maybe that's the answer. Maybe that is the answer.
Maybe it's like ants and it's got all the little nanites following each other one after the other in this little line of nanites.
Do you know how many nanites you could fit in a drop of liquid? Quite a few. Quite a few.
Gold mites.
Gold mites. Could these nanites be magnetic or simply mobile, attracted to some other substance? Yeah. What was the nanites' original job? I'm not saying. Let's just say they shouldn't be where they are. Whoa. Little line of nanites playing the baby elephant walk. At least 4 whole nanites in a drop of water. Yeah, but these are not nanites that we think of. Anyway, hitching a ride. I think that's the only answer.
Well, unless your sites are somehow connected. I'm assuming these are asteroids where they're being mined, right?
It's a moon.
Okay.
There's an easy superhighway. The lighting, it has cables. Nanites could fit into the cables and follow them along.
Yeah, it would take them a long time to move, though.
Would it?
That far?
Why?
Kilometers and kilometers?
Say that the power involved in there helps push them along like little boats in the ocean or little boats in a river. Poof, you climb in, the nanites get taken along with the current.
Creepy crawlies. If they hitch a ride, you have to use Boston for your soundtrack. Dude, I don't have to use Boston for shit.
No. Ouch.
If I was going to do hitch in a ride, it would be Green Day. Thank you very much. Quantum radio nanites. Oh my God.
What if... Okay, thinking off the top of my head. If your nanites have to be discovered someplace, or do they have to be discovered someplace, or do they have to hitch a ride? Or is it both? Because if they need to hitch a ride, technically they could be in just one spot. Because if your nanites can send some kind of transmission, maybe a neurochemical transmission, maybe something on a frequency that then helps to alter the state of something else that's naturally occurring. Maybe if you're So if your characters, do they have medical nanites? Or they're just okay.
The humans have no nanites.
Okay, so the humans have no nanites, and there's nothing that could technically be reprogrammed that is on your ship.
Everything the humans have could be reprogrammed.
Liquid metal.
Because because the thought
humans
that I had
can be reprogrammed.
So here's the idea. And I apologize if this totally goes off, but if your original nanites are able to send some kind of neurochemical, neurofrequency transmission to then start to change and reprogram something that is already in the human body, then that could be your way for stuff to move. So maybe, a rogue white blood cell or a rogue stem cell receives a transmission from these nanites.
I think it needs to be physical contact with the humans, but I have a way for it to get in through the suits.
Well, yeah, you can aspirate, or the suit. It's very rare that something is completely. Nothing is ever a full surface. There are always pores and ways to get in. So as long as your item is that small or can be broken down, it can break itself down. Your nanite itself can break itself down into small enough pieces to go through whatever channels and, like fabric or whatever, So it breaks itself down to go in through those channels and then pulls together. The nice thing being that if it can break itself down on a molecular level to those channels, then you can start looking at it going in and like cutting off cellular
Rewriting
channels
DNA.
for like, for like neuroreceptors and all that, and substituting things.
The idea is what the stupid humans have done is they've drilled into a weapons cache, a war that ended millions of years ago, potentially. And they managed to drill into it.
Dumbasses.
And nothing goes well after that.
No. But if you have something that may have been not just a chemical weapon, but a biological weapon that is broken down into enough small pieces so it can be put together and reconstructed, those little pieces, they could either break themselves down, or maybe they're attracted to something that is in the human body and that is good for them to latch onto and regrow or evolve or repurpose. And so the humans are just a way, way better food source.
Biologicals are the preferred transmission.
Do you have a ship's cat?
There's no cat. Well, the domes may have cats. This is not an isolated moon. This is a moon that's got about 6 or 7 different mines on it, manufacturing stations, refineries. It is an actual city.
Do you have any kind of agriculture, any kind of hydroponics or aquaponics? So then you're going worms. Anything with soil and worms.
We got to get from the mine first to the domes. But if you think about it, what does the nanite want to do? It's going to want to reproduce, right? So people become carriers and birthing nanites at some point. Or they just explode into a cloud of them.
So think about this. We know that tardigrades can exist in vacuum, deep space, etc., right?
Yep.
Which means that, say you pull you get into your suit, whatever, and you put it on, technically, we can't see anything on the outside, but there's always going to be something on the outside of the suit that we can't get rid of. Just let it be a tardigrade for discussion purposes. So there's some other microscopic organism that is always on the outside of the suit, and it can survive in deep vacuum. It can survive in those mines. It goes out there. The humans don't necessarily latch onto these nanites, but those nanites go, ooh, tardigrades look yummy. And so they wind up latching on to these mites, these entities that are always living on the outside of the suit. It's kind of like how with our skin, we've always got mites living, around hair follicles and eyebrows and whatnot. We just can't see them. But these nanites know enough, or they're hungry enough, like, ooh, these look tasty, and they latch onto those. So when the suits get back into the ships, well, those tardigrades are still going to survive. But now that they've survived, they've got hitchhikers. And now they're on the ship, they're there, and now they can scurry out and go get people.
The invisible war between the nanites and the tardigrades rages all around us.
Chris asks, are you inventing the Borg? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. However, I will say this. In Darkest Dungeon, there is something called the unstable flesh. It was one of the reasons I got this idea. And that's also a theme in a couple of Lovecraft stories, where you have something that is biological that has absolutely no bones, that's moving around, talking, and doing all sorts of other horrible things. Or maybe it could have bones. Just
Captain Cartilage.
Captain Cartilage.
Deadly silly buddy.
Yeah. So at this point, you are talking about evolution of the nanites. They will evolve as they move through things and do everything else. I hadn't planned on writing this to be at a city, but I think that's where I'm going. And I think the second half of the book is going to be fucking bonkers. Because
as it should be.
People are going to want to leave the mine and go back home. Anyway,
or you just naturally have to swap out your team. Maybe your team only has, because of the expectations and physical
contracts.
stresses.
They're contracted to only be there a certain amount of time.
They're going to get chased out of there.
You're not supposed to be back here for 5 weeks. Get your ass back in there.
They're going to get chased out of there. It'll be a totally different animal. Antoine says, give Paul a city and he will give you an apocalypse.
Yes. That is very true.
Well, thank you, Tim. This is the book I've been trying to write for like a fucking decade. Could be a cool natural progression for the Black and Derelict for readers too. Yeah. It's more suspenseful sci-fi. By suspenseful, I mean it's going to get downright disgusting in places, which I'm okay with.
Flub.
Did he fall?
He rolled over on me.
He's going to break his shoulder, man. That's a heavy chonk. Well, getting toward chunky.
No, I have the chunk. He's actually, they're probably all, sitting in vigil around the feeder, going, yes, 10 minutes, yes.
I got me a putty, and he's gaining weight again.
Yay!
Very much yay. Daddy's happy. Daddy's hoping he gets fat. Well, not too fat. Not too fat. Anyway, that's what I kind of needed to brainstorm, get an idea. Oh, specifically with adapting and evolving creatures and sci-fi suspense. Yeah. I like that, though. I like the idea of toys being left behind that we discover. And I think that's the whole Suits series is like that. It's about toys that humans have come across that have been left over from other civilizations. And very bad shit happens because of it. I like that idea without ever having to explain there was a war or having to explain what the war was. It's just this shit is hanging around. And that's that. Although in AAT, I do kind of address that. Xander says, I've been drafting up ideas for story ideas. One of them is a fantasy zombie apocalypse, like classic zombie apocalypse, but in a fantasy world of swords and sorcery. Because now I have not really seen that. Huh.
So when necromancers go wild? I mean, I think it would be cool.
Necromancers somehow evoke a zombie which infects everybody. Yeah. They were only supposed to raise one dead person. Instead, they raised all of them. That could be a problem.
You're muted, Terry.
Especially during a war.
You know what necromancers snack on? Necro wafers.
I thought you were going to say necro waves.
Oh, well, that too.
No.
That was really bad. Really, really bad. Even for you, that was bad.
I know, right?
Well, I've been finishing up the outline for the co-authored space opera bit, and I think it's interesting because, like, sticking to various conventions. But I've got smugglers and space pirates and just kind of pissing off the establishment, which is kind of fun. And then still having fun with the poor human who is employed by the adult novelty and lingerie shop in 1990s Toronto. My search history is so messed up at the moment because it's this odd mishmash of researching places like museums in Oxford and religious artifacts and 90s goth scene in Toronto. The CIA is just confused at this point.
The NSA doesn't know what to think.
The NSA is like, what? And then the cartoons, and now she's looking up accents. Oh God, it's a writer.
Oh, mostly harmless. That's what they put in the file. Mostly harmless.
Yeah.
90s
Although
costume.
I did get to write a succubus named Kimberly. That was fun.
Should have called her Brittany.
It wouldn't. Kimberly was a better 90s name. I actually went and looked at behindthename.com, which is really helpful because a lot of times they list the most popular names in a certain year.
Right.
And then so you can like go through the top 100, and I just asked my co-authors to pick a number, and bam, Kimberly.
Oh God. Oh God. Your personal FBI agent is like, what sort of weird Halloween party are you planning this year?
Okay, here's a story for you. Here's a story idea for you. As a writer, as your character in this hypothetical book, you've got a secret FBI minder that keeps an eye on what's going on to make sure that, you know, nothing goes wrong, you're not turning into a bad guy. And they get so caught up in what you're doing, they start influencing your search results to raise the profile of certain aspects to try to edge you over into certain directions.
Oh boy.
It's a kind of like it's like a betting pool. It's like, I bet I can get my asset to do this before yours does that.
Exactly.
That's kind of frightening, actually.
See some guy in a cubicle at the FBI jump up. Yes! Yes! Kimberly the succubus! I win!
Considering that I've written weirder stuff, I think I'm okay.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Look, I was the one who said you had to name the genie living in the dildo Chekhov because that way you had to have him go off in the second act and use him. So,
if you robots need a subject for any shows starting week after next, I'd love to brainstorm a story idea with y'all. You understand if we're booked?
Yes, but then we have to go ahead and pick one of us to go ahead and be subversive. Which one is it going to be?
It's you. You're always the subversive one. That is your role on the show, is to cause trouble. V's role is to stop trouble from happening.
I don't think you know her as well as you think you do.
I know. That was her role. I didn't say she was good at it.
I'm the problem, it's me. I have now quoted Taylor Swift on the podcast. I fully expect to be ejected at any point.
Chat is
actually,
subversive.
I will have to talk with you guys because I'm gonna be gone for a few Saturdays due to bowling and travel, and yeah.
Oh God, then we're gonna need guest host.
We don't need guest hosts. We'll bring in random chat people. Say, you will join us.
Oh, wait a minute. I thought everybody loved the sausage party. You know, they're just all missing the sausage fest. Poor V. Poor V. Has to put up with me. Poor V.
Well, you know, if we don't have V here, I can always go ahead and borrow one of the wife's bras, and you know, I can go ahead and be the feminine side for the program.
I don't have enough horrible things I can say to that. I'm now imagining her rouging you up for this and for it to go so well with the beard.
If I ever appeared like that, I don't know what she would do, but it would probably involve a stroke.
Mistress Terry.
Teresa.
Oh, Mistress Teresa. Yeah. I met Mistress Jennifer last week. That was frightening.
Antoine, don't encourage them.
Well, folks, it's nearly 5, and I have to get off very, very soon so I can feed my pets before I leave them. So, do you have any quickies? I really shouldn't have used that word with this crowd.
I was about to say phrasing, but you know, we're used to it. We just kind of go up. Yep.
We don't want to keep you from getting off.
I knew somebody was going to make that statement. I just knew it somehow.
Ah, there's Tim. Paul has to get off.
No quickie here. All right, fine. All right, patrons, thank you for hanging out and joining us and everything else. As always, thank you for your support. And I guess we will see you next week, whereupon Terry apparently will be wearing God only knows what.
Well, we don't know that, V's not going to be here next week. I'm not going to subject her to me dressing up like that.
Well, she's going to watch the show afterward, I'm sure. She'll know. She'll probably be watching it while she's at bowling.
Or at least have it in my ears, and people go, "What are you laughing at?" Or "Why are you crying?" I'm like, "It's not the game, I promise." Wait, no. You're assuming that place will actually have good Wi-Fi.
Well, that is true. Yeah. That is very true.
I'd probably come across more like Mrs. Doubtfire than anything else. So there's that.
Hello! On that note, we are really out of here. Have a great Saturday, folks.